Officer Taylor Mendez thought she had just pulled over another slick-talking suspect until the moment everything unraveled, right there, in a packed courtroom, under the unforgiving glare of truth. "You can't be serious," Officer Mendez scoffed, her voice dripping with condescension, loud enough for the jury to hear. She crossed her arms and shook her head, the kind of head shake that dismissed logic and lived off assumptions. The courtroom, buzzing a moment earlier with quiet chatter as people waited for the next case to be called, fell silent. All eyes shifted to the tall, sharply dressed black man standing at the witness stand. Calm, unmoved, focused. His name was Malcolm Devereux, age 32, wearing a crisp charcoal gray suit with the kind of tailored precision that made him look like a man carved out of authority. His voice never wavered. His posture didn't bend. From the outside, he looked like every corporate executive with something to say, but to Mendez, he was trouble the moment she'd seen him idling in a rental car on the edge of Brookshire County, Georgia, 3 weeks earlier. And now they were both here. Courtroom 3C. Tuesday morning. Judge Marlene Wexler sitting behind the bench, leaning in just slightly, watching without speaking. Mendez had already given her statement, quick and casual, like this whole thing wasn't worth more than a few minutes of the court's time. Illegal tint on the car, she said. Suspicious behavior. Noncompliance. Escalation. But now Malcolm was speaking carefully, precisely, and the smirk on Mendez's face hadn't gone unnoticed. "You're telling me," she interrupted, "you were just passing through on some business?" Her tone wrapped air quotes around the word business. Someone in the back coughed, masking a laugh. But Malcolm didn't flinch. He stood, waited for the room to settle, and then spoke. "I was working," he said. "Federal surveillance. Ongoing investigation tied to a national cybercrime ring." Mendez opened her mouth again, maybe to challenge him, but Malcolm reached inside his blazer. Just for a moment. That was all it took. Mendez instinctively stepped back. The entire courtroom clocked it. From his inner pocket, he retrieved a slim black leather badge holder. No theatrics. No flourish. Just a quiet motion. He flipped it open and raised it for the judge to see. United States Secret Service. Cyber Fraud Task Force. Badge number 607218. The silence broke into hushed murmurs. A bailiff near the bench adjusted in his seat. People turned to look at Mendez, her expression now scrubbed of smugness. Judge Wexler motioned to the bailiff. He stepped over, examined the badge, then gave a short nod to the judge. "Officer Mendez," the judge said, turning slightly. "Would you care to respond?" Mendez blinked. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Malcolm's voice filled the gap. "I was not at liberty to disclose my federal status during the stop," he said. "Standard procedure when undercover. But what I can tell you now, under oath, is that I was investigating a flagged cluster of transactions linked to accounts in southern Georgia." A soft gasp rose from the jury box. "I was instructed to remain in the area and observe," he continued. "I parked in a neutral vehicle. Factory tint. Within 5 minutes, I was questioned without cause." He paused, letting the words land. "She asked where I was from, why I had out-of-state plates. She didn't run my ID until after she began searching my vehicle." Malcolm turned, his gaze sliding over the jury and then to the judge. "I told her I was working." She laughed. Everyone looked back at Mendez. She stood stiffer now, lips drawn into a thin line. Her eyes darted between the judge and the prosecutor. The prosecutor, Samuel Arnett, a seasoned trial lawyer with a silver streak in his hair, leaned forward toward the mic. "Your Honor," he said, voice cautious. "May we request a brief recess?" But Judge Wexler didn't respond right away. She stared at Malcolm like she was recalibrating her expectations in real time. In that moment, the balance of power tilted, shifted from routine legal procedure into something else entirely. What had started as a traffic citation now simmered with the weight of falsehoods exposed. And before the courtroom ever knew his name, Malcolm remembered everything. It was just past 5 p.m. when he turned off I-75 near Lindale, Georgia, a sleepy township barely more than a strip mall and gas station. The sun cast long shadows across the pavement as Malcolm parked a silver Nissan Sentra along the edge of a nearly empty lot. Nondescript. Ordinary. The kind of car no one remembers. His assignment was to observe a suspected courier, Anton Levesque, an alleged link in a digital currency laundering ring funneling illegal funds from Miami through small-town ATMs all the way to Chicago. The goal was observation, not confrontation. Track movements. Log locations. Stay invisible. He had just pulled out his phone to take notes when he noticed the black and white patrol SUV sweep the lot once. Then again, slower. He didn't react. He'd been watched before. Then the lights flashed. The SUV turned sharply, cutting off the front of his vehicle. The door opened and out stepped a tall white officer, hand hovering near her belt. Her nameplate read, Mendez. You from around here? She asked, approaching. No, ma'am. Just working. Doing what? Malcolm chose his words carefully. Say too little. You're evasive. Say too much. You're suspicious. I'm observing some activity in the area. Her brow furrowed. Observing. Please step out of the vehicle. He sighed and raised his hands, moving slowly. Is there a reason, officer? Tint violation, she said. Can't even see through your windows. That's a safety issue. The tint was standard. He'd checked, but he said nothing. She asked for license, registration, questioned the rental, why a Florida driver had parked here in Georgia. Then came the suggestion. Mind if I take a look inside? Am I being detained? You're acting suspicious. Malcolm chuckled, low and dry. That word always showed up. Ma'am, I prefer not to have my vehicle searched without cause. She stepped back, called into her radio. 2 more squad cars arrived within minutes. He was patted down. They emptied his pockets, phone, wallet, pen, a wrinkled gas receipt. One officer held the receipt up like it was a clue on CSI. You military? Someone asked. No. Law enforcement? I didn't say that. You got a badge? I'm not required to answer that. That's when Mendez started circling the car like a hunter smelling something off. She leaned through the open window. No smell. No contraband. No visible weapons. But still, something's not right here, she muttered. Malcolm stood motionless, sweat collecting under his collar. When she opened the trunk, without permission, he didn't react. Just waited. 20 minutes passed. No citation. No apology. She tossed his wallet back. Keep your nose clean, she said. And maybe don't hang around places where you don't belong. He said nothing. That night, he filed a report, not through public channels, but through the internal hotline reserved for agents who encountered obstruction during active operations. He didn't plan to escalate it. Until 2 weeks later, the court summons arrived. Mendez had filed a citation, failure to comply, window tint, obstructing a search. It was personal now. She wasn't just protecting her ego, she was rewriting reality. And she didn't realize who she was dealing with. Malcolm Devereux had trained for this. 8 years in the Secret Service's Cyber Division. He didn't carry a pistol under his suit jacket or whisper into an earpiece on Air Force One. Most days, he sat in aging sedans outside seedy internet cafes, tracing cryptocurrency trails back to the darkest corners of the web. He wasn't dramatic, but he was deliberate. He brought everything to court, surveillance logs, GPS data, timestamps. He kept his badge tucked away until the moment it mattered. Not to humiliate her. Not to make headlines. Just to let the truth speak, plainly and powerfully. When court resumed after the recess, the mood had shifted. Prosecutor Arnett had pages of new notes. Mendez looked like someone trying to stand still on a sinking floor. Mr. Devereux, Judge Wexler began, you verified your identity as a federal agent? Yes, Your Honor. And you were operating under official surveillance orders at the time? I was. Why didn't you identify yourself during the stop? Because doing so would have compromised the operation. Agents are instructed not to reveal identity unless required by law or immediate safety. Judge Wexler nodded slowly and turned. Officer Mendez, she said, were you aware you had cited a federal agent? No, ma'am, Mendez said stiffly. Did he tell you he was law enforcement? He was evasive. He didn't cooperate. I complied with every request, Malcolm interjected. I declined a warrantless search. Mendez bit her lip. Then a woman from the public gallery raised her hand. Her name was Joan Pierce, nail technician. She worked across from the gas station. She'd seen everything. He wasn't doing anything, she said. She pulled in like he'd robbed the place. Did you hear raised voices? Only hers. A man stood next. Brian Alcott. Owned the barbecue joint across the way. She didn't know him, so she treated him like a suspect, he said. That happens more than you think. One by one, Mendez's story fell apart. Not from Malcolm's testimony, but from the community. Did she say he didn't belong? I don't remember, she mumbled. Malcolm's eyes didn't blink. You said it. And with that, the judge asked, do you still stand by this citation? Mendez hesitated. Her attorney leaned in, whispering. Too late. The damage was already done. No, Your Honor, she said at last. I withdraw it. But justice wasn't just about withdrawal. 2 weeks later, Mendez resigned quietly. No statement. Just an internal memo leaked to the press. Malcolm didn't celebrate. He didn't post. But people remembered. Not the transcripts. Not the badge number. They remembered the stillness. The calm. The dignity. And the truth. It had waited. It had spoken. And for once, it had been heard.